Again to our poster winners, and we're gonna like to welcome Dr. Thomas Luberstedt up here to kind of give our closing remarks for the symposium. Dr. Luberstedt is a professor here at Iowa State, and he's also the director of the R.F. Baker Plant Center. So,
thank you. Okay, thank you. So I wanted to start with a slide thanking all the presenters here. I think we had a really nice symposium, very informative, and a lot of information given to us. I would like to thank all the participants that attended, also the online participants. I forgot the sponsors, sorry Tabare, but also thank you to you, of course, and others. And in particular, I would like to thank the plant breeding graduate students who did, again, like last year, an excellent job in organizing this meeting. They added the poster session, which I think was a really good addition. So I would like to give all those listed here a hand. I wanted to point out that I'm a member of the R.F. Baker Center for Plant Breeding, and sometimes there was some confusion. There's more than the members of the Baker Center who are involved in plant breeding. So we are working on a plant breeding portal at Iowa State to make that more clear, that it's actually not only the 6 members in the Baker Center. This will be released very soon. It's organized by Danny Singh and a student of his. But there are many more faculty involved in plant breeding here at Iowa State. I wanted to clarify it with this slide. So there's quite some USDA presence here and many other Iowa State faculty besides the Baker Center members. Also other departments like horticulture have plant breeding activities. You will also be able to find there the students that are in plant breeding. So there are 27, I counted, graduate students in plant breeding right now. And I think all of them, or most of them, were engaged in organizing this meeting. Besides that, plant breeding faculty have students from other majors like interdepartmental genetics. And besides those students, there are more than 60 students in the distance MS program. So in total, there's I think more than 90 students now in plant breeding who graduate with a master or PhD in plant breeding. And so when I was asked by Matt and Chantal to make closing remarks, I was expecting that we would see a lot of phenograms and data and so on. And I thought that the human component is also quite important in this germplasm development, and I think we heard already quite a bit about it. One is that you need outstanding and dedicated individuals, sometimes eccentric maybe, that are really innovators and driven by doing what they do. And I think Iowa has been blessed with such personalities, in particular also in quantitative genetics and maize breeding. And so this slide I received from Jian Ming. But besides that, I want to point out that relationships are also very important. It's not only the individual performance, but also interaction with other academics or between academics and breeders. Examples include pedigrees that you develop at academic institutions where you're not transmitting genes ultimately, but information across the lineage. In Germany, we are talking of the doctor father. I guess it should be more neutral today. It's the doctor mother, father, parent. One is sufficient, different from normal situations. Then you have mentors, collaborators, but of course also competitors and sometimes antagonists. And all those would drive germplasm development or affect it. And so this is not really scientific, so don't cite that or so, but I try to put together how relationships might affect the outcome for the breeding community. And so there can be positive or negative or maybe no outcomes on the y-axis and the relationships. I was struggling, should it be negative, positive? But I thought having engaged, including competition, is something that is an active interaction between persons involved in the process. And then on the other side, you have ignorant or adverse relationships. And we heard this morning from Dr. Miller that we have to think out of the box. And so if you're ignorant, then you're sticking in your box, I guess. And so the most likely result then is that there's not a big progress. Probably selection will act against you. Interestingly, there can be adverse relationships. So one example is in Germany. It's anecdotally, but in the 1800s, there were two rye breeders, Petkus and Carstens. They didn't like each other, so they even didn't trust each other. They wouldn't touch each other's germplasm. They did population breeding, and it turned out when in the 1980s hybrid breeding got established in rye, that those two very separate populations had a fairly nice combining ability. So they were the foundation of current hybrid breeding programs. So sometimes such adverse relationships can be quite positive. But hopefully you have engaged and positive outcomes by engaged interactions. It can be competition sometimes, but it can also, of course, be collaborations in a positive sense. And I think this is nicely leading over to the last point for today, I guess. So there's an opportunity to work on this, and I guess you will talk more about that. So thank you again.
All right, thank you, Dr. Luberstedt. So Chantal and I would just like to, again, congratulate our poster winners and also the travel grant awards, or the winners that were here, the Minnesota students. Thank you guys for coming down. And also we'd like to give one more thanks to our speakers, the student organizers, our sponsors especially, and then all of you guys in the audience who are able to come here to Ames to listen to these presentations today, as well as the over 150 people we had on our online webinar. So thank you guys very much for coming. Please, in your folders, if you got that when you registered or they are at the registration desk, please, if you could fill out your comment cards and put them in the basket at the front table. We'd love to hear your feedback so we could improve this symposium for next year. Webinar participants, there is a link on our webinar page for your survey. Otherwise, I will send it out in an email.
And as Dr. Luberstedt so nicely outlined for us, there's a social tonight at Old Main. The address is in your programs, and the upper level of the restaurant is reserved for our group. So we hope to see everybody there. And we look forward to next year. Our next symposium will be March 3rd here at the Alumni Center, and we hope to see you all there as well. Thank you again for coming.